All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Postman 101/office hours. I'll explain a bit about what that means and how it's a bit different than previous streams. I'm Sean Keegan. I'm a developer advocate with Postman. I'm joined with John Banning. If you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm a solutions engineer with Postman, and I'm based in Austin, Texas.
Awesome. Yeah. So I'm based in Brooklyn, New York myself. Yeah, we've got kind of a cool stream. So John, thanks for joining us today. Yeah. So what we're going to do today is a bit different. So we've had Postman office hours the first Tuesday. Yeah, the first Tuesday of every month for the last few months. And that's been a time where folks could come ask questions. Oh, my video is frozen?
No, it just cleared up. I just saw it frozen. Yeah.
Cool. No, I appreciate. Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully everyone is getting us loud and clear. Yeah. So today what we're going to do is we're going to have kind of a dual purpose session today. So we're going to start with a Postman 101 live webinar type thing. So John and I will go through a public workspace, talk about how to use Postman, what Postman is, what APIs are, and really just get people up and running and sending their first requests and kind of understanding that, the basics of APIs. So what are your thoughts on that, John? Does that sound good?
Yeah, I think, just getting their feet wet, getting a, quick intro, getting people up to speed with the UI, the UI in Postman changed recently. And I know I've heard some people are not that clear on where things are. So maybe we can go some of that as well.
Yeah, I think, that's a great point. So I think, even if you are familiar with Postman or haven't used it in a while, I think you'll find stuff that is going to be useful for you here. So the way we'll kind of break today up is the first 45 minutes or so will be kind of that Postman 101 introduction stuff. And then after that, we'll transition to the more typical Postman office hours. So John and I are here to answer any and all questions you may have. Postman specific, life specific, whatever you want to get into, we're here for you to answer. So yeah, so I know everyone loves slides, so I'll start with a quick introduction. This is what we're doing today, Postman 101 in office hours. And I actually don't think I shared my screen, so no one is seeing these slides that I'm talking about.
Not yet. So, yeah. We have a big international audience. I'm seeing someone from Mars just joined. Thanks, Jeffrey. Some Sweden, Ukraine, a lot of people in India. Yeah.
Oh, I'm just seeing all this as well. Yeah, let me highlight some of these. So, yeah, Wilson. John, you want to give that a try? I'm not sure how to pronounce that. I assume it's something lovely like you guys are doing great. Keep going.
Oh, yeah. Which one? There's Mike and Mayak and Mike Raj, what is Postman? Stay along for the session today, and we're going to be explaining it, what's going on. All right, I have a map in the background, but it's only U.S. based or North American actually. But I know other coworkers have maps of the world. Someone from Peru. Yeah. All right.
Wow, this is fantastic. Yeah, well, awesome. Great to see everyone. Hi from Turkey, Italy. Really cool. Yeah, like John said, stick around and we'll get you up and running with Postman. So let me share my screen. All right, and yeah, I'll just do a quick introduction here to what we're getting into. So Postman 101 and office hours, like I said, we're just gonna introduce Postman 101, get you sending requests pretty quick. And like we said, so I'm Sean Keegan. I'm a developer advocate at Postman. What that means is I get to talk with folks in the community, see what they're doing, how they're using Postman, and just really get to interact with a lot of different people and make sure Postman is accessible, fun, easy to use for them, and get a good deal for what the community is thinking.
Yeah, and I'll introduce myself again. I'm John Banning, the solutions engineer at Postman. My job entails a lot of pre-sales calls and doing demos for clients, and also requesting client or feedback on the application that we can take back to product to make it better, or anything you guys love or hate. I love to hear that just to make the product better.
Awesome. And give me one sec. I seem to have lost my presenter. Okay. All right. And yeah, so the agenda for today, we'll go through the intro to Postman and APIs. Then we'll do the API basics, just kind of walk through that. Then this third part I'm pretty excited about, resources. So this is going to be an area where we talk quite. I just saw somebody say hi from Mars, which I love.
Yep.
Yes, we'll talk about the resources. This is just ways you can take the learning a step further. Keep going with your learning. There's badges that you can earn for various Postman little classes that we have. So we'll talk a bit about that. Q&A, and then finally we'll transition to that office hours part of the agenda where you can ask all sorts of questions. Okay, so what is Postman? Like the slide says here, is an API development platform used by more than 13 million users. So John, I think this is something that I don't want to say struggled with, but really tried to wrap my head around when I first started. Was I knew Postman as a tool that people use to practice and make API calls and just kind of use it in that one way. When we say API development platform, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, you're not alone in the thinking of Postman as really a tool to send REST requests and see the responses. But when we say API development platform, we're addressing the entire API lifecycle, right? So from producers of the API, you have maybe some backend developers who are actually handling that request once it comes into an API gateway. What's the logic behind there? And also API consumers. So anyone who needs to consume or use your API, they can use Postman, read the documentation, actually import a collection, and hit requests and see the responses. In addition to that workflow, we have mocks. So if you need a backend team and a front-end team to communicate about the contract, what an API request should be, mocks are a perfect tool for that. You can also have mocks spun up to help your front-end developers understand what they're going to be getting, what payloads they'll be getting from the backend, as well as QA teams can use mocks to quickly write their tests. In addition, that's the scratch the surface of what Postman platform really is. There's the monitors if you need to monitor the health of your APIs. We also have an API builder where you can become API first and manage and control API specifications. And just there's a lot of other things, documentations out there if you need to publish documentation on the API, but that's kind of the Postman right now, but the platform is still expanding. Yeah, and we'd love to hear any improvements or things you want to see in Postman as well.
Awesome. Yeah, so like John said, I think it's kind of funny, right? This last sentence here, Postman helps people will work with us more efficiently. I think everything you said kind of is neatly summarized in that, but I don't think people realize sometimes the extent to which they can use Postman to help kind of that life cycle.
Yeah, I don't think it was neatly summarized there. I think it was long-winded and me talking about all the features. But yeah, productivity, quality, and governance around your APIs is something we specialize in.
Cool. To be fair, John, yeah, I was not saying that you were neatly summarized. I was saying this sentence right here, I think, is the one that does a good job. I do want to call out again. I love seeing all these folks from truly all over: India, Peru, Italy. I think somebody from Sweden, Afghanistan. Really, really cool. Love to see everyone tuning in. So thanks for showing up, everyone. Cool. So quick intro to APIs. Excuse me. It stands for Application Programming Interface. What the heck does that mean? I think when I think of APIs, and when I was first starting, the simplest definition somebody told me was that it really is just something that sends information back and forth between a website and a user, right? It's that piece that connects the passing of information between pieces of technology. How did I do, John? Does that sound like a
yeah? I think you might have pigeonholed yourself in saying between a machine and a user. I mean, machines can talk to machines through different protocols via APIs, and it's not just over the web. There's other protocols as well, but it's pretty good.
Cool. I'll take it. Yeah, and then an endpoint, which we'll talk. We'll get into these when we dive in a second. An endpoint is a specific subset of functions within the same API, right? So how we want to kind of. It's just kind of like those guidelines and rules for how we're going to access bits of information. All right. And I just like this little graphic. I'm a visual guy myself, so I just thought this was helpful. Right, this REST API kind of connects the client and the database. And this get, post, put, delete, we'll talk about in a second when we dive into the workspace. So the information gets pings the database, comes back to the client. So it's just kind of this flow. A lot of talking from us, John. Should we open up Postman and get into it?
Yeah, let's see the application and let's just hopefully show it off in all its wonderful glory. Are you going to be using the web version or the app today?
I'll be using the web version. Great question. Okay. So
yeah.
We do have a web version which just works in your browser and the app. I believe there's supposed to be kind of a one-to-one
feature parity.
feature parity.
It's getting close. Almost, yeah. Everything you see is comparable between the two resources. And then almost also, as a shout out to the Postman API team, almost everything you can do in the GUI interface, you could do with the Postman API.
Awesome. Yeah, Postman API. I don't know that we'll cover that in the 101 section, but I think if people have questions on that, pop it in the chat, and we'll be sure to to talk about that, because I think it's a really neat thing that we have available.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. So if you're looking at the screen here, I've opened up to what we call a public workspace. And so for those of you that are completely new to Postman, so we talked about what Postman is. And this is something, I guess we could say it's relatively new still, this idea of public workspaces. But it's an area where you and your team can have basically everything you want kind of grouped together to help you with your workflow for a specific I'm struggling to come up with the words here, John, because I don't want to say a specific collection, because you can have multiple collections and multiple environments. But yeah, it's just kind of a space where you can put everything you need that's kind of related to each other.
Yeah, just think if you're doing a job or a process and you just need to have a sandbox, if you will, of like, I want to invite these people and we're going to work on these things, then you can organize it in a workspace, and you can give people specific access controls of who can do what in the workspace. So I might be the owner of the workspace and I can invite whoever I want, but Sean, you might be just a viewer of that workspace, and you cannot invite who you want. You have to go through me. And in addition, there's other types of workspace. We're talking about a team workspace where we're collaborating together, but you can also set up a private workspace where potentially you and I are the only ones in there. I can also set up a personal workspace where it's just myself and no one else can get in there and mess up my work.
Yeah, great point. Cool. So this is a public workspace that I've created, so that we can have folks able to follow along. And I'll share this with you here. And we're actually going to go ahead. I'm seeing some questions in here already with regards to AWS integration, which are awesome questions. I think we'll probably hold off on some of these more advanced questions for the office hours section. So LinkedIn user, I can't see your name. I just see LinkedIn user, but certainly come, stick around and ask the questions a bit later on. We just want to make sure this part stays kind of on that 101 level of material. So
one thing, Sean, that I didn't mention about workspaces, I didn't mention even the public workspace, right? So the public workspace is a way for me to publish everything I have in my sandbox workspace, if you will, out to the greater internet, and we can all collaborate and work together. So people can come to this and see my documentation and how I use my API, and they can create a fork and actually create suggestions on how to make my API better. And I can accept those pull requests back in. So it's really going from a single player game to a multiplayer game where anyone in the universe actually can, come in and you make suggestions to my API and understand how this API functions and what it's used for.
Yeah, it's awesome, right? It really becomes a collaborative effort, and folks can help out. So if you haven't seen in the chat, I put a link here to this workspace, and this is going to kind of be that sandbox that we go through together as a group to talk about Postman 101. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to simulate, if you have never been to Postman before and have no idea how it works, you've never signed up. Right now I'm signed in, in my Postman account, but I'm going to go ahead and copy this and kind of go through the workflow in an incognito tab and just show you how, like, oh, okay, I stumbled across this site. How do I play around? So this is what it would look like if you don't have a Postman account, right? You can see I'm not signed in. I don't have anything. I can still play around and see everything. I can still see the workspace description. It's got information, resources. I can actually see the collection. And this is what we're going to talk about. This is kind of the actual sending requests. But if I were in here and I can even send it, which maybe I'm realizing now, John, maybe we're not encouraging people to sign up if you can actually just send it. But I think it's good to go through that creating an account part. You agree?
Yeah, totally. Just kind of getting people more familiar with the UI and kind of what it takes to use Postman or to fork and use a public workspace.
Yeah, cool. I just want to make sure the screen is showing black.
That's good for me. I don't know about anyone else. Can you type into the chat to say thumbs up or black or white, or if you color?
Yeah, because I'm able to, it looks like it's showing clear for us here, but I want to make sure people aren't missing stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, let us know in the chat, folks, if you're having issues seeing, and we'll see what we can do.
Looks like everybody's is able to see it. Not everyone, but a couple people. And then also there was a request to resend the link.
Yeah.
I'll ask that. It works great. Perfect. Thanks,
cool.
guys.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, so if you're having issues, Debiton, maybe refresh and see if that helps. I don't have necessarily anything else to suggest, but cool. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's go through creating an account. Right. This is often the first step if you have a workspace or request that you want to sign up for. So I'll just say Sean.Keegan plus demo. We'll say Skeegan 2, and we have just a random password. All right, and I'm going to create a free account here, and this should be pretty easy. Oh, okay. I need.
Oh, you need a stronger password.
Yeah. Look at that, keeping us safe here. Cool. All right. And so then this is the first thing it brings you to. What is your name? You can enter a bit of information for yourself. We don't. Just for this purpose, I'm going to just say this is what we're interested in. So this is me just setting up my profile. And this is a cool part of Postman too, is this idea of teams. You can join a team or create a new team. I think we can talk a bit more about teams, but in general, this is a kind of way to group your user together and keep people on the same page. Yeah.
People maybe with common interests and working towards the greater good. Maybe there's a team out there you can join to help facilitate that.
Cool. Yeah. All right. So signing up is truly that easy, right? So now I have an account. I can create as many workspaces as I want. Like I'm not limited in any regard there. But let's go back and try to find that workspace, right? Say I lost the link, and I saw a few folks asking for the link before. I just want to bring your attention to this idea of this search bar up here, right? And so you can see I'm searching all of Postman, and if I want to search for, we called it Postman 101. Under that here, the first thing that pops up is this public workspace called Postman 101 in office hours. And you see this global icon. That means it's a public workspace available for anybody to see. So I'll click that. And that brings me into, okay. So this is a good thing. John, you want to talk about the desktop agent briefly?
Yeah. So now that Postman is the web, in the web, there's two agents. There's, I guess, the app agent and the desktop agent, and there's some code that you need to run when you're running on the webs to get by CORS, cross-origin resource sharing or scripting. I can't remember, but CORS limitation. So you just need to download this agent or you need to switch the agents depending on which version you're in, the application or the web version. So since you're in the desktop, I don't really know why it's asking you to update it. Maybe it's because you're out of sync.
Yeah, I think I'm going to skip for now because I tried this before, and I do have the desktop agent, so it should be fine. We'll see if we run into issues though. But yeah, in general, if you're just getting started, you should download desktop agent for all the reasons John said, right? To get around that CORS restriction, basically it just keeps the internet safe by not allowing you to send information from different websites and stuff. Here's a question. How do you join a team after you create your account? I believe if you come up here. Okay.
Yeah. I was going to say you can either create your own team. I mean, it depends kind of if you're looking to be at a license level or how many people you're looking to invite and be on a team with. I believe you could actually search in the search for specific teams and then request to join that team. Or if you had your own team, you can start inviting members.
I actually did not know you could search for teams here. So that was, I'm learning too. Cool. So yeah, now we are in the workspace. And let's actually go ahead. Let's dive in and start making some requests in a second. This is the information about the public workspace. And what's nice now is I'm not logged in an account that can change this. This is me just accessing it as somebody who didn't create this. This is what everyone else should be experiencing. So I think the first thing to talk about right here is the overview. And then over here, this is going to be the list of collections. So this Postman 101 name here, if I click this and unfurl it, we see a list of 5 requests. And I'll click this, and this will show us, this is the information for the collection itself. And if you're following along at home, this is where you're going to want to go if you want to be able to pull this into your own workspace. Because right now I'm just still looking at that public workspace, and this is like, what I created before. So if I want to pull this into my own environment, I'm going to come up here to this fork button. And I think we might have touched on it briefly, John, but forking is essentially pulling something into your own sandbox so that you can customize it, play with it, change the code. Because right now I wouldn't, be able to, I'm not able to change it or send anything.
So the idea of forking is, it's kind of the Git model or any kind of source control or version control, where someone might be the owner of a document or code, and they're happy to collaborate with somebody else, but they want to approve those changes to make sure that goes into their repository. So there's a request to make a fork or a clone of that, and then you can make your changes and make a pull request that then actually indicates to the owner of that that code base to say, hey, Sean has made a pull request. He wants to improve the code. Take a look at it so you can actually diff what Sean changed and accept it or reject it or make a comment back to it. So again, it's that conversation between the owner of the code and someone actually trying to contribute to it. So we think this is a good model to help control version control. Make sure no one is just going to go blow out all your code. So there's kind of a gatekeeper, if you will.
Yeah. And you'll see, right? Like I actually, because I'm not logged in, this isn't my workspace, I can't click send from here, which I ultimately want to do if I want to explore this. So this is where we're going to come fork the collection. So I go to the collection level, and you should see this fork button here. You see we have 3 forks. So if I click fork, it's going to pull up this page here that prompts us to come up with a fork label. So I'll call it Postman 101. And let's just pull it into my own workspace, right? This is a brand new account, so I don't have any workspaces made. So I'll fork it, and it will automatically take me to that workspace that I just created. Or not created, but forked it to. And you see now I have the exact same collection, and it has this little icon here to show that it was forked with the forking name that we mentioned.
Could you zoom in a little on that one? I think when that opened that new browser tab, yeah.
And hello, Shiva. We're doing well. Well, I'm doing well. I don't want to speak for you, John. Hope you're doing well as well.
I'm great.
Cool. Cool. So yeah, now we have this collection, and we have it in our own workspace, so we're able to mess around and send requests, and let's get into it. Let's send some requests. So this collection was created to essentially just help you practice sending requests, getting responses, and playing around with the various basics of an API request. So if you come down to this first request here, it is called Get One Customer. I think let's just click send, John. I think let's just rip the Band-Aid off, click send, and we'll talk about everything that just happened.
Okay. Cool.
All right. So we click send. We sent a request to this address, specifically a GET request. So there's a few different things that happen to make this request happen and get this response here. So you want to help me break it down, John?
Sure. So within the Postman environment, we see requests having a life cycle that perhaps you need to do some pre-code before you send that request. You needed to modify some data or do some data handling, and that's all taken care of in that pre-request script tab. Yeah. So in there you can write code that maybe you're chaining requests together, or maybe there's some parameter you need to modify, or you need to go grab a value in an environmental variable. You can do that in the pre-request script, and then the actual request is sent. And then if you need to modify or work with the response data, which you see below, you can do that in the test tab. So in the test tab, you can actually see once you click that, you get some pre-canned tests over on the right. And that's using chai.js, an assertion library. So you can just double click on any number of those and insert that test. And now every time you make that request, that test will also be run against the response. But there's so many other things also, you can manage. You can see in the UI the parameters. If you had query string parameters or path parameters, you can put those in there and easily in the UI and not have to do the query string. There's the authorization tab. If you had tokens or some sort of authorization protocol you were using, there's a lot right here to consume, but really all that's really happening is when you hit send, that request and all the headers, authorization parameters are being packaged together and being sent across HTTP to that endpoint, which is API-101 glitch, and it's returning that response.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's a great overview of all the things that kind of happen. If we take a small step back and just talk about the very, very basics, going back to like the 101 parts of this, right? So all the things John said are incredibly valuable things that happen in Postman. But if you're very, very new, you might not need to know or mess around yet with the pre-request or test tab, and we will look at those. So just looking at, yes, we got people asking about snippets, and we'll talk about that. Yeah, so this address, right? So this is going to be where the request is sent, and this is what Postman handles. Is this taking of the request and sending it here, right? So everything that's, we send what's called a GET request. So this is the method. And if we click this drop down, we'll see all the different ways we can decide to make a request to a specific address.
Yep. So essentially at the end of the URL, you just have a /customer. So that /customer is the endpoint, and you could have a number of different verbs associated with that endpoint. So if you have a GET customer, this is just getting one customer, but you can also delete a customer. That's possible. Patch and put is to update customers. And then also post if you needed to create a new customer. So those are really the CRUD operations: create, read, use, and delete. Update and delete. There's other HTTP verbs that we support that aren't as popular, but those 4 or 5 are the main ones.
Yeah, I think if once you get started with APIs, that idea of CRUD operations will come up quite a bit, right? CRUD. Yeah. And yeah, so this API was created. We created like a kind of a dummy API just to help people kind of go through and practice APIs and get used to kind of sample responses and seeing what happens. So funny enough, the very first thing we see here when we sent this request is we get a 404 not found, which is very common and can be frustrating with APIs, but you kind of have to get used to it and learn to love it and hope the API is helpful at helping you debug it. Yeah, so once we sent this request, this was the first step in this collection. And you see it kind of tells you here, right? This API gives you this information. You're learning API 101. Check out the data object below to see the values returned by the API. And the way this works is, here's what actually comes back from the server, right? It's just this bundle of JSON here. But the pretty tab allows us to kind of see it in a way that's a little bit easier to read for humans. And because this is a 101, we actually went to the next step and set up this visualize tab. So visualize is going to be a way to read your response in kind of a cleaner, prettier way, even prettier than the pretty tab. And so this is, again, this isn't how all APIs will respond. This is just how this one was programmed for us as a learning environment. So
yeah, it looks like we're missing the ID. Looks like we hit the customer endpoint, but there's no ID specified for which customer we want back. And I would hope if we wanted all customers, then it would be a plural customers. I'll make you a bet that get all customers ends in an S.
Should we check it now and see?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and sure enough, right? So
that's good. Yeah, it's
good API design. Yeah. So let's come back to this request. So we're just going to kind of follow through, and this is something you can do at your own pace, right? So if you fork this environment, or if you fork this collection and you feel like going through and reading the instructions, by all means, power through. We'll just kind of go through it and talk it over and talk about some of the highlights. So, right, if we're sending this GET request to get a specific customer, it would make sense that we would want to know which customer, right? Like John said, get all customers is going to return everybody. When we're asking for a specific one, we need to send what's called a parameter. And a parameter is just something that tells the API what we're looking for, essentially. And in this case, it's saying we want the parameter of ID equals 3. Satyam says, hello. Hello. Thanks for joining. So let's go ahead and add this. So Postman makes it super easy to add parameters. And this is, I think, one of the features that people love and start, like, the reason they kind of come to Postman, right, is it's way easier to do these requests, and as they get more advanced, doing it through a GUI front-end platform like Postman, as opposed to trying to mess around in curl or Node.js and make requests that way. So if I add this key ID, you'll notice right up here in the path itself, we start getting this automatically added into the request address, and I'll add the value, and it says equals 3. And so now our request is slightly different, and it specifies a specific customer. And if I click send again, we should get a different response. And we do, right? We sent the request with a query parameter, big party hat, success, fantastic.
What's the pretty body look like?
Oh yeah, good question. So this is again going to be a bundle of JSON.
Yep. But we now have a person or a customer, right?
Yes, we have this customer of Shady Pines and their type company, right? So the response is generally going to be, well, I shouldn't say generally, but I think for this API, we're going to get a JSON response, and this data object has the various customers or information that we're requesting. In this case, because we just wanted one single customer with the ID 3, that's what we get here. And I'm going to go back, plus this API was designed to make it a little bit more user-friendly. I'm going to stick with the Visualize tab, just so that it's easier to read, and it's been kind of designed for us that way. Cool. So that's how you get a request. That's the basics of a GET request, specifically getting a specific user. Let's go ahead and look at a POST request. So let's go to the POST add new customer. And if you're not familiar, right, so GET is going to be kind of that reading part of the CRUD, right? So getting various information. So POST is going to be kind of synonymous with that create operation. Cool. So from here, for those of you that are familiar with Postman, you might know already, or just APIs in general, if I'm sending a POST request, that means you're going to, if you're creating something, you're going to want to send information with it. So if I send this with nothing, right, there's no, there's no body, right, which is something that you would send along with your request. So if I click send, I should get some sort of error here, and I do. Right. So John, you want to talk briefly about what's different from a POST request?
Yeah, POST is meaning you're going to be like, think about a database insert. You're going to be providing information to then store back into the database or the data store, whatever you're using. Usually when that's successful, you'll get a 201 HTTP response that says, hey, this was successfully created. There's different ways to post information. You can, post it as raw, as binary, as we see the tab as GraphQL. People I've seen people do things as posting things as in the query string. But I think posting as raw or as XWWW form URL encoded is most popular. Yeah. I'm curious on this is if you hit the documentation tab to the right, is there also documentation on what this endpoint should be doing?
Not for this one. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a great question, right? Like, if you're building an API, creating an API, we're at a point where we're not sure how this should behave, right? We're not sure exactly what we should be sending or what the API expects. So documentation is crucial and valuable, and Postman makes it very easy to do so, right?
Yeah. You can add the markdown as you want, and also back from not the GET you earlier worked on and added the ID of 3. That'll be automatically injected into the documentation.
Say that again, John. I actually missed that.
When you added that query string parameter, if you go to the documentation now, that should be automatically generated in the documentation. I don't see it. Maybe you didn't save, but anyway.
Oh, I didn't save. Yeah, if I save it, let's see.
It should be in there.
Awesome. Yeah. That's cool. I think maybe I knew that at some point, but it's good to reiterate that and run myself. Yeah. We do have a question here. Is the ID in param would be same showed in headers under user ID variable? Good question. In this case, it is not. User ID here is an unresolved variable, which we use for this API. We've set it up so that it can be used for the backend. It's kind of hard to explain without like diving too deep. But short answer is no. This is not going to be the same. But we could sync them up if we wanted to. We're just not doing it in this case.
Yeah, for this exercise, I believe the user ID would be Sean's user ID within the Postman application. And what we're doing is monitoring his progress through this tutorial. And at the end, we would award him a badge or some sort of notification of you've successfully completed Postman 101.
Yeah, great question. Cool. Okay, so let's go through. This is something you're going to see a lot of when you work with APIs, unauthorized. And this is going to be a very basic authorization process. It's just kind of getting familiar with the idea of what authorization is and how it works. For most APIs that have, sensitive data, or even, they want to limit the amount of times you can just repeatedly ping their API. Authorization factors are in place just to kind of control who and how often people and how they access their API. So yeah, let's just follow these steps. So in authorization, select API key from the dropdown. And so to do this, right, so we're going to go to this authorization tab. Here's where it says select API key. So this is just one of the many types of various authorization methods that APIs can have. OAuth 2 is another one that I think you'll see often, bearer token. Let's just stick with API key because that's what it tells us to. Enter auth key as the key, and any value here. Again, this is just kind of a dummy auth process, so it doesn't really matter. So I'll just put anything. And now if I click send again, with our quote unquote auth in place, we get a new error. But this is good, right? We went from a 401 unauthorized to 400, which just means bad request. And yeah, so now it's just telling us, right, because it is a post request.
Yeah, we got to give it some data to enter. So awesome. One thing I want to say about the authorization, if you have a series of endpoints within a collection that use authorization, you can actually put the authorization at the collection level, and the endpoints will inherit that. So helps save you time on the keyboard, and you're only putting it in one time.
Yeah, that is super helpful, right? So what John means, right, at the collection level, if I were to come in here, I could do auth here. I'm not going to do it here just because the collection is built specifically to have you do it. But yeah, this is what John is saying. Like it can save you a lot of work rather than having to enter the same auth credentials for 5 different requests or 100, right? If you have 100 in your thing. Cool. So we actually have some JSON here. I'm just going to copy and paste it. And to send it, we're going to put it in the body. It's going to be raw JSON. So I'll just paste it here. I'll click send again, and boom, 201.
Hey,
right?
Perfect.
So we celebrate. Yeah, and this is just telling us we added a new customer. So go back to the first request we opened. These are actually in a funky order. But now, yeah, if I were to go to get all customers, we should see this new person, Bornak. And let's go ahead and get all customers. Right, so this is that first request that John talked about, or not the first request, but the one that John talked about where, it has this plural. And we should, in theory, get everybody. I'll visualize it. Did I mess up, John?
No, I'm just reading. I'm following along.
Oh, okay. Right, is this the person we just entered, the Blanche, or?
No.
Dorothy's the Bornak. This is our girl, Dorothy.
Is she a golden girl?
Yeah, I think so.
These are the Golden Girl characters, aren't they? The TV show? I just realizing this. I don't know.
I thought Blanche was from Gone with the Wind.
Okay, you might be right, but I thought Blanche was one of the Golden Girls. But anyway,
could be. If you're in the chat and you know what Blanche is from, this is the crucial stuff we need to figure out. Where is Blanche DeVroe from?
Yeah, but one's also a place, right? Yeah,
that is true. That is true.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the customers API. You never know what you're going to get when you check them out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to clean some of these up. I'm going to get rid of this one. Post. I'm going to save it. The next step I want to do is this put update customer. And again, so John, remind us, what does the put request usually do?
Just going to updates. There's the put and the patch, and they sometimes are used interchangeably. I believe one is when you completely wipe out the record. I think that's a new post. Not a post, I'm sorry. Patch is when you just kind of change one parameter, I believe. I need to go back and read my HTTP verbs again.
Yeah. I think, and it's also one of those things, right, where there's like a best practice, but it is a little bit more flexible than maybe the intended functionality should be. But so cool. Here's something where we actually introduced. So we had query parameters before, which is when we have a key value that we tag or add on to the end of a request. Now we have what's called a path variable. So Jen, want to give a quick description of path variable?
So path variable, the syntax is just : the name of the key, and then you can actually see that it's actually in the path variable. So it's just part of the URL, part of the endpoint. So it's more dynamic. So if you needed to touch a customer's information, you can have the customers, their ID, and then do whatever you need to do: post, patch, update, delete. So it's a common API practice of using dynamic kind of values in an API call.
Cool. Let's send it. Let's see what happens. I'll go back to visualize so we can see. All right, again, we're unauthorized. So this is a great example of what John talked about before, right? Like I'm gonna have to do the same thing. I'm gonna have to come into authorization. I'm gonna have to do the API key. And thankfully it's already saved, or at least it's entered in. But yeah, like if I didn't want to have to do this every single time, I could have done this at the collection level. But so now it's in there. Let's send it again. Right, so instead of unauthorized, we get the same thing now. Now our request is incomplete. And again, because we're trying to like update somebody, we need to actually send that information in. So here's where that path parameter is: customer ID. Want to open params and replace placeholder with the ID of a customer you added when we sent the post request. So remember when we added Dorothy Zabornak, and then we got all customers, we saw that her ID was this number here, 1072. And so when we're trying to specify which customer we want to update, we have to tell the API some way of identifying who we're trying to change, right? And so we have this customer ID. Instead of placeholder, we know that her value was 1072. And so now with our customer ID in place, let's send it. So John, do you think this is going to work or not?
I don't know. I mean, we're going to be doing a put. Are we? What value are we putting up there? Am I jumping the gun here?
Yeah. No. I mean, that's exactly that was the prompt, right? Like it shouldn't work because we're not sending anything to actually update it, right? And so that's what we get. We're incomplete, and like we said, we need some sort of information to update. So let's change it. So instead of I forget a person's name, Dorothy, we'll now change it to be this Sophia.
And Sophia was a golden girl, I believe, too. I'm just going to keep following back.
Just a default, just assume all names are golden girls.
Joyce Lynn is a golden girl.
Is that right?
No. She will get after me because I said that.
Yeah, I love it. Cool. So let's go ahead and again, this is JSON. So we're going to click raw JSON and add it in here. Right. So again, this is different than what we were sending before. So in theory, if we send this, it should update that Dorothy Zabornak entry. And awesome. So we updated the customer. We get this green check. And again, not if you're new to APIs, you're not going to get this like lovely welcome message every time you send, change it. It might just say like, 201 success. Actually, this is, I don't think this should be a 201, but.
On an update, I'm not sure. That's a good question.
I think it should be 200.
Yeah, because it's not really creating, you're updating.
Yeah. So now it's telling us to go back to get all customers. And in theory, right, like instead of this Dorothy Zabornak, we should see a new customer. So let's send this request again. And these two didn't change, right? Blanche and Rose, Shady Pines. And now instead of Dorothy, we have this Sophia. So we have gone ahead and updated the record. So pretty nice. And then I think this last step, let's go ahead and just talk about the last part of the CRUD operations, this deleting a customer. It's going to be the same idea here, right? Like we have this placeholder value, if I send it, right, it's using a path variable. So I'll send it. It's going to tell us unauthorized. Again, just really driving home this idea of authorization being done at the collection level being a good idea. So I'll save that. Let's go ahead.
And it's the same path as the put. It's just a different verb.
Yeah, that's a good point. So we'll send it again incomplete. Right, in order to delete somebody, we need to know who to delete. So thankfully, the API is not just willy-nilly picking random people to delete. So we want to delete. We can only delete the person that we added. So I actually remember that our new person's name or number was 1072.
Oh, I thought that was I thought that was the one you made. Anyway, go ahead.
Right, I think that's the one we want to delete, right?
Oh yeah, we just updated. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No worries. Okay, let's go ahead and try to delete her. Cool. We deleted the customer. We get a 200 successful message or successful status. And let's just triple verify. We should not see this entry when I check it now. All right, 1, 2, 3 are all there, and we don't have that last person with ID of 1072. So that is truly I don't really know what it did, but yeah, that is truly like the 101 of I closed out the tab, and it was an incognito tab, so it will not come back up.
Gotcha. Yeah, I forgot you're in.
Which is fine. I will. Let's see if I can get back in there quickly. But John, you want to do a quick recap of what we went over as I signed it back in here for us?
Yeah. So the first thing we did was kind of just create or actually browsed what Postman had to offer in their public workspaces, and found a Learning 101 exercise collection where we wanted to access it, but we first had to create a user account. So Sean did that. And then he was able to fork that workspace into his own workspace. And now we had access to it. And then we just went through the different endpoints to understand the different HTTP verbs and kind of just how Postman needs query string parameters, authorization as well, and how the different posts need a information or data to insert into whatever your data store is, and just kind of update a customer's API.
Awesome. Cool. And I think there's a few, yeah, that's a great recap. Thank you, John. Mm-hmm. I think there's a few, kind of quick low-hanging 101 stuff that we can talk about here that will help people, and then we'll transition to the office hours, let people ask a little bit more advanced questions. One thing you'll notice is for all of these requests, it starts the exact same way, right? This HTTPS / blah, 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 right? So everything up to here is always going to be the exact same thing. One thing that's nice about Postman is this ability to set variables, which are going to be just kind of like reusable things throughout your sandbox, throughout your collection or environment or workspace. So if you highlight something, you can set it as a variable. Let's call this the base URL, right? Because this is the thing that's getting repeated over and over. So I'll set it as a new variable. I'm not sure what happened there. But yeah, so I'll call this base URL. Now we can set it at various scopes. So we can set it the global scope, which, John, correct me if I'm wrong, I think persists in your entire workspace.
Yeah.
Okay. Environment, which we haven't gotten into much right now. And then collection, Postman 101, you can see the name of it here, right? That's going to be kind of like what we talked about for the authorization at the collection level. Same idea here, right? Everything that has base URL in this collection can be used in this collection.
Yeah, it would substitute out the value that you're putting in there now.
Cool. And you'll see it actually, funny enough, I'm colorblind, so it's very hard for me to tell when it goes from red to orange. I actually have a hard time with that. But in theory, people tell me it goes from red to orange when it is a variable that knows the value of. And yeah, if I click send, you'll notice it doesn't have that long URL, but it does evaluate to that beginning part of the URL that we wanted. And right, I could do that for all of these. I could change this. And the Postman notation for variables is going to be this double curly brace, the name of the variable, and then close the curly braces. And this isn't going to work because I don't have.
Yeah, all the work we did, it was in the incognito tab. So
yeah. But yeah, that's kind of one helpful thing, and the reason this is valuable, right? If for some reason the URL changed, right, and it wasn't API 101 glitch.me, it was API 101 beta, right, or V2, whatever it was, you wouldn't have to go through and change the URL for 5 or 100 collections, right? You can just change it in one place, and that will automatically resolve for everywhere else.
Yeah, the most helpful part about these variables, or one very helpful part I've seen, is people writing collections and tests and documentation for different environments they have. In environments, I mean development, production, QA, staging, and all they have to do is flip the environment tab, and all their work is there and able to test in those different production development environments.
Awesome. I think the last thing I want to talk about for this 101 section here is if you do go back to the actual workspace that we were working on, there are tons of resources that you can use or look through to kind of level up your Postman knowledge and practice and experience. We have, right, so in the description here, this is what we went through, right? We got started, we forked the collection, sent the first request. If you're watching this right now, you're watching a live stream. But here, this is where I really want to talk about is this additional resources. Right, we have a learning center, and all these links are active links. So if you click them, it'll take you to the learning center, and this is a place that you can get started. Right, it's a bunch of, sorry, my ear is bothering me here. But yeah, there's just a bunch of resources for you to practice the next steps, right? The next logical steps. There's videos. There's the community forum, which I think is linked next, or community forum here. This is a place where, not sure what happened, but I'll update that link. But this is a place where a lot of people go. I'm pretty active, right? You'll see myself here. People come and ask questions. Whether it's advanced Postman users or people that are brand new. This is somewhere where Postmanauts are very active, and we go in here and check it out all the time. And then, yeah, Postman documentation, right? Anytime you're learning a new piece of technology, the docs are generally a great place to go. And I've been talking a lot here. The last thing I do want to mention is this ability to earn Postman badges. This is something that has kind of really taken off recently, and people seem really fired up about these badges, which is really cool. I'll take you to this page here first. These are all the badges that are available. So we essentially just went through Postman APIs 101. So you have the tools. If you watch this video, you have the tools to go ahead and earn this badge. There's 8 badges available. This is a brand new one, 30 Days of Postman for Developers. John, have you seen this one?
Yeah, I know Joyce or somebody wrote a blog post about it, and just there's a new lesson every day, and you can follow along and just earn that badge. I think it was for April, because April is API month actually, but now we're in May, but maybe they extended it a couple of days.
Yeah. But yeah, like you said, it's really cool. It truly is like 30 lessons, designed to be a lesson a day, get you up to speed with Postman. And as far as I know, I don't think anybody but the creator of this program has the badge. So if you're watching, you could be the first if you go ahead and complete this 30 Days of Postman for Developers. But I think that's all I've got, right? So there's plenty of information. If you're a person who likes, likes the visual of the deck, you can go ahead and download the deck here. This is a link as well. But I am happy to transition away from Postman 101. We do have a question in the URL, or sorry, in the chat about the URL. But yeah, so for those of you that stuck around for the whole Postman 101 session, if you do have 101 questions, this is a perfect time to answer. We're just going to open the forum now to to all sorts of questions and whatever people may ask. Cool. So,
Vishal, your question about can't we replace the values of the base URL? Yeah, you can maintain that in a variable, be it a collection variable, environment variable, or global. So you can just maintain those as variables and flip the environments as you need.
Yeah. I think there were some questions. Oh yeah, okay. So here was a question that we kind of skipped over while we were going through. But yeah, how do you get the snippets? So if I'm in here, right, I'm in my requests. We didn't really dive in a ton on this tests tab. And that always trips me up, John, trying to say that.
Test tab.
Yeah.
I wanted to rename it the post request tab, but it's too long. Yeah, because you can do other things besides just writing tests there. You can handle the response in different ways if you don't need to write tests. But once you click on that, the snippets are available.
So I will say sometimes if it is collapsed. So Camille, if you were looking and you saw this, you're like, how do I get the snippets? It is a collapsible tab. So if you look at this little caret here and you click that, you'll get the snippets popping up, and you can click different things. So. And these are pretty cool. We didn't mess around with them, but like John said, this is using a library called chai.js. And if I click it, it populates a pre-made test for us. And if I click send, right, this is just checking to see that this is the name of the test here, and this is actually what the assertion is to see if this happened. And once we send the request, we'll see the test tab has one test. The status code is 200. It did pass. So that's how you can kind of mess around. And there's plenty here, so I highly recommend messing around with these. And these are just kind of like building blocks, so use them as a baseline starting point.
Yeah, and I do know there are some schema validation. So if you want to check that the response adheres to a schema, there's AJV is in there, and there's also Tiny Validator maybe. But there's examples in there on how to use that. If you search one of those resources that Sean had mentioned, I know Danny's done a lot of work on this and showing people how to actually validate the response adheres to a schema that you're using.
Yeah, this is actually something I hadn't messed around with until recently myself, John. So this was pretty cool to see that you can do this just kind of right in here. What was the other thing you said? AVL, HVL?
There's another JavaScript, AJV. So at the very, very bottom, it says use Tiny Validator, but AJV is also included in there. One thing to note also, so people will call the test tab the sandbox. You also have resources, other JavaScript libraries that are included in here. Like I think crypto is in here. So if you need to encode or decode things, crypto.js, I think there's I want to say it's moments or momentum, the timestamp.
Moment, yep.
Obviously, I think jQuery is in here. So you don't have to make a reference if you want to pull those in, but those different JavaScript libraries are available in there. And there's a whole Postman library if you need to do things with the Postman API.
Yeah, that's the libraries I think are one of the coolest things. I actually created a public workspace myself recently for a talk I gave. So I'll plug my own workspace here. So because I just talked briefly about some of the libraries that are available with some examples. So and I'll actually fork this into that workspace so we can kind of check it out, right? So this is a good example of why public workspaces are so valuable and useful. I happen to know this one exists. And so I was able to search for it in the universal search bar, come over here, like, oh, there's a collection called built-in libraries. Let's see what that's all about. And I want to play with it myself. So I'm going to fork it. I'll call it demo fork, back into my workspace. So now it's going to automatically take me back to that collection. And I have this built-in libraries, right? So this is the exact same collection that I just showed you. And I'll open it up and we see, right? So here's another example of kind of a fake or like a library that's included, Faker.js. So like these are all, like it looks like it's not evaluated, but because we have this Faker.js thing, if I want to do, I forget what other stuff we have, but yeah, starting with those curly braces, I'll do random, let's do random adjective, right? So it just helps you like simulate data and see what kind of, I don't know, just like test your APIs in different ways. If I send it, so this is just a random GET request with various parameters, but you'll see when I send it, I didn't have a first name here. It just was like a random variable. So I get these like totally random bits of information, which is sweet. And that's because of this Faker.js library.
Yeah, so trying to get people away from testing with canned or hard-coded data. Figure.js has found I've actually caught me, doing some not smart things, not accounting for certain addresses, that are worldwide. Yeah, it'll break. That was the one that got me the other day.
Yeah. Dan Chanovit, thanks so much. We love you too. Appreciate you chiming in or tuning in and commenting. Awesome to have you. Kamal or Kamal, sorry if I mispronounced your name. You're very welcome. Let's see. Ramona says, I was wondering, why is the Postman student expert only for students? Great question. It's not, I don't want to lie now, I'm thinking about it. I don't think it's only for students. I think that's just the name of it. And I believe anybody can do it. I don't think you have to necessarily be associated with like a university or a high school or anything. I think it's just what we call it, just people, being students of Postman, not necessarily a student formally anywhere. I'm like 98% sure that's the case. I don't think you need to be associated with anything for it. And if that's not, I apologize. But yeah, I feel confident in saying that, John.
Yeah.
The Postman Student Expert, that's another badge that we have. Really been getting a lot of popularity. I think we have over 800 Postman Student Experts. People really seem to enjoy it.
I know there was a question earlier about integrating with AWS, and there are some collections that allow you to do that. Ken Lane, our API evangelist, has published something about using Postman to actually create an API up in AWS. So I think if you were to search, you could probably find that. I know that was a question. I think it was from LinkedIn user earlier, actually.
Yeah, the AWS question?
Yeah.
I'm looking here and seeing, let's see. Oh yeah, okay. How do you integrate with AWS? Great question.
Yeah, so obviously AWS has an API, and I know Ken has built a collection that stubs out most of those, or not most, some of the endpoints, depending on what you needed to do. Yeah, so maybe I don't know if it's available in a public workspace at this time.
Let's do.
But I know he did write a blog post about integrating with AWS.
Yeah. So when I am interested in finding specific things like this, right? How does Postman integrate with AWS, or is there a collection for Twilio in Postman, right? So this explore page is a great place to go to see the kind of questions that we're talking about here. So if I were to come in here and check the public API network for AWS, we're going to actually see quite a few. These are public workspaces with AWS. Here's an AWS API gateway. So this is, I think, John was referencing Ken Lane. He's our API evangelist. So if I look at this collection here, this should give us kind of a little bit of information on some of the various Amazon. Here's all the AWS collections that are in here. Right, so if I want to do AWS Certificate Manager, excuse me.
It's a pretty robust list from Ken right there.
Yeah, this is I feel like classic Ken. Just you think, oh, Ken did something, let's check it out, and then it's just fully fleshed out. Tons of stuff, tons of information. So this is one way you can kind of check it out. There's also, I actually don't know the I don't know if this. Oh, I think it's blogged up, Postman.
Yeah, I sent it to you actually.
Oh, cool. Okay, awesome. Yeah. So here is the blog post that Ken wrote.
And this is his integration with AWS Gateway.
Yes, for the yep. So for those curious, this is a good place to check it out for the AWS integration. And yeah, I do want to back up because I do see Ramona. Yeah, so it does ask for school name and course program name, but you could put anything. Again, it's not a requirement. LinkedIn user here says it will work anyways, which is true. I think we collected that information initially when we were doing our user conference called Postman Galaxy, and we were just encouraging students at universities and various places to do it. And I think that's how the program kind of started. But it has since grown to become open to everybody. And we truly do encourage everybody and anybody that's interested in becoming a student expert to do it. So yeah, think about it as a student of Postman and not necessarily a student at, quote unquote university or anything. Spieler, we love you as well. Awesome to hear. So John, I'm going to let you take this one because I actually do not know off the top of my head.
Just some background history. Postman is set up in squads who work on different parts of the application, be it mocks, monitors, documentation, API network. And one of the squads is called integration. So if you ever go to, on the home page, if you go to your home tab, Sean, you can go down to integrations and you can see the, keep going down right there, integrations, and then browse all integrations because you don't have any set up for your workspace right now. These are what I refer to as the first class integrations. So there's that AWS API gateway integration that we have. These are kind of the first class integrations the Postman development team has developed and they support going forward. Not to say that there aren't other integrations out there in the internet. We have a great community, as Sean mentioned, and those are plentiful out on GitHub. But the Azure DevOps one is one has been asked for quite a bit, and our development team, specifically our integration squad, is working on that right now. I don't have a timeline of when that's going to be released, but if you Google Postman Azure DevOps, I know there's a Medium article about it, and there's also other requests out there, and there's other people talking about how to do it right now. But we, as Postman, have not published one yet, but it's coming.
Yeah, and I will say we are working with an awesome student organization called Codebase. They're from Cal Berkeley, and they're putting together a suite of AWS, Azure, and some Google Cloud integrations. And so, like John said, these are kind of the formal first class integrations that are available. Codebase is putting together this suite of collections that will kind of allow you to integrate with some other functionalities within AWS and Azure. So I think that should go live in maybe, I don't want to put a hard time on it, but in the next few weeks that should go live and become a public workspace. And it might not have the exact workflow you're looking for AWS or Azure, but it does walk through a lot of the authorization and workflows within Postman to access various parts of AWS and Azure. So definitely take a look, be on the lookout for that because it's really cool stuff coming. Yeah, so Ramona, correct. It is not like GitHub. I think, where you do have to actually be at a school. So yeah.
The always popular question, is this being recorded?
Sure is. Yeah. So you will be able to see John and my face in perpetuity for as long as you may want to watch this stream. It should go up live later today. So yep, it is being recorded. So if you want to come back to it and check out anything you might have missed or just want to watch us do again, that will be available on our YouTube page. Cool. I think, John, one thing that might be cool to talk about are some of the newer features that came out while there's no other questions.
Yeah.
So one thing that I think is pretty sweet, well, we talked about Joyce's 30 Days of Postman, which isn't necessarily a new feature, but I do think that's worth calling out because, right, like learning Postman and getting the basics down are so valuable. So I'm just going to point that out real quick, and then we can talk about some of the other stuff. So yeah, if you're looking to get the 30 Days of Postman workspace, come up here to the search bar, start searching for 30 days, and it should be this one that comes up, this public workspace by Postman. And so that's something you'll want to make sure that it is the Postman public workspace. If you click it, you should go right to that public workspace. Joyce has done a fantastic job of documenting it and making it as clear as possible to get you started. Excuse me. And there are 31 collections. And it really just walks you through of how to get going and all the steps necessary to earn your badge and learn about Postman.
Sean, Shiva had a question about what skill sets are needed in the 30-day challenge.
Ooh, yeah, great question. So I think, Joyce talks a little bit about kind of the prerequisites here, but I think in general, the goal of 30 Days of Postman is really a learning tool more than, specifically testing everyone's knowledge, right? I don't think the expectation is anybody can come in and just crank through it right away. The goal is it's designed to be a learning tool where you can go through and learn different things, and the lessons kind of build on each other, right? So if you look down at, day 28 UI testing, you're like, I don't really know if I know UI testing. I don't know if I can do this. What's really great about the way it's structured is that by the time you get to day 28, you should have most of the skills that make day 28 possible. And it may be a little bit challenging, but you don't necessarily need a ton of, prior skills. I think Joyce does talk about, right. So here, if you're new to code, is this challenge for me? So it's designed for developers and suitable for novice developers. So having some background or ability to write JavaScript is very helpful for this. It's not something I think that somebody with no technical background could complete, or maybe they could, right? And it just might be challenging. But it does talk a bit about kind of the prereqs and what might make you the most successful at it.
I think just an understanding of console.log and how you can just message out something. And that's something that's invaluable in Postman and that I use every day, is the ability just to open the console and actually see the requests and inspect the headers, the requests, and the response. Is that something you can show real quick, Sean?
Yeah, I do just want to give a quick goodbye to Kamal. Thank you for joining. Really, really appreciate it. So let's go back. Let's look at, so this is actually, I think, a good example to look at what you're talking about, right? This idea of console.log. So we talked a bit before about some of those libraries that are available within Postman. And here we saw, like I sent this request before, and console.log, for those that don't know, is, right, the console is where, how the heck do I describe the console, John? The area where, I'll let you take it.
It's the best developer tool. It just kind of intercepts. It shows you. It intercepts with the console.log. It's just spitting out whatever you put in the log brackets. So in this response here, in this exercise here, you are going to be rendering the JSON response from this request.
Yeah. So okay, so if you're not familiar, right? Like, so I did that quick. The console itself in Postman is down here in the bottom left. Right,
so hang on a sec. We can't see the little button because your name's on it. Yeah, so it's down there. I just want to make sure.
Let me see if I can come up with a way to. Oh shoot! Yeah, my name is going to cover it no matter what I do.
It's fine. It says console.log. Hopefully,
yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think just trust me. Now I'm just throwing our heads all over the place. How do I get back to that other? Let me see. I'm going to try to see if I can. Whatever. It's not so important. But yeah, it truly is like right below my name. It's like right here. If you go straight down, click console and it pops this up. You can see kind of what it looks like. But so this is what we were talking about, right? This ability to see everything in the console. Console.log is just showing us whatever we put. So if I want to do console.log, hi everyone. Right, and click send again, I should see the same JSON response, and then I should see that, hey, everyone. And that is what I get. And what's really nice is I have some commented out stuff here. But if I want to see like how this moment library handles something, right? Like I have in the params, I random date. And then if I want to see what moment.js does, I can uncomment this. We should see formatted date and get this, right, May 4th date. So just kind of a invaluable tool to just see what's happening. You can see what different parts of your response are. Super helpful stuff.
And then also you can expand that GET request to see the headers and everything if you need that information. So request headers, response body. So there's some information in there if you're passing headers. It's very helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm always surprised to hear, folks not know about the console just because I use it so regularly. It is just like, a staple in my workflow. And so I think the more people that know about it, the better. I think just the easier it will get to, work with Postman.
Hey, Sean,
Yes.
let's show people user groups.
Let's do it. The best way to go about showing.
Oh, you know what? You're not on a team, so
I'm not currently.
Yeah. Oh man.
I could show it from the Postman account, or should I not? Oh, you know what? I could log into my DevRel one.
Okay.
So
while he logs in and logs out, I'll talk about it. So user groups are now available in Postman, where you can set up user groups, a collection or a grouping of individuals, and you can manage your role-based access on different things through user groups. So let's say I worked in an org and I have a lot of interns, and I don't want them to have write access on a collection. I can set up a user group, apply all my interns into that user group, and then now when I go to a new collection, I can just give them viewer, and they cannot modify any of the code. So that's available on collections, environments as well. So you can manage, like I said, role-based access using user groups. All right, there's your team. Go to the team tab, and then go to manage team, and then it's going to be under groups. Yep, groups. And you can set up your own user group and add individuals. And then that name of the group is available for giving access controls, again, at the collection level. Anything that really uses RBAC.
What is RBAC, John? That's something.
Oh, it's access control, role-based access control.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool.
Another thing, if you go back, that I think is fairly new that a lot of people don't know about, is that reports tab. Oh, you're not on the enterprise plan, so you can't show that, Sean.
This account isn't.
Yeah, so that'll give you insight onto how people on your team within your organization are using Postman, the number of licenses they have, how many collections have documentation, how many collections have tests. There's a number of really great metrics you can look in there to see how your team overall is using Postman.
That's cool. Yeah, I haven't messed around with that tab much myself, so that's cool to know. I will, after this call, log on to my regular Postman account and check it out. Here, a LinkedIn user is asking, where can we learn about Snorkel? I'm not sure if that's is that a tech thing, or is that?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, as far as I know, in the Postman ecosystem, I'm not familiar with Snorkel. If LinkedIn user, you want to provide some insight into that?
Because if not, I'll just assume you mean regular snorkeling, like coral reefs with beautiful fish, and I wish I had more information on that personally.
Yeah. Another question came up about the recording of the session. Yep. This will be available on the YouTube channel. So Postman's got a lot of videos ranging from quick how-tos, quick level up videos, which I really love. They're short and get right to the point, how to do things and be more productive. It's going to be, so I think it's just, if you Google YouTube Postman, you'll go right to the channel. There it is.
Yeah.
And it seems like there's more and more content here.
There's a, but yeah. Like John said, like level ups are an awesome way to just kind of get, quick hits on cool ways to use Postman. Right. So they're usually a minute long to 2 minutes, and yeah, just like quick little skills that you can kind of binge watch and learn different things. And I think it's a cool way to learn.
Yeah, just shortcuts and how to be more efficient, really.
Yeah.
Question came in: do Postman educators get a badge?
So Postman educators, what do you mean? So people that are teaching like Postman classes? Because if so, we do have. Let me just get back to this badge page. Because we do have, I forget exactly what we call it, but it's essentially that, like or Postman educators, where you can like lead student like workshops, I think. But let me double check that. Okay, so many tabs open now that I've confused myself here. Let's see.
There is also the Postman Supernova program where we have people who actually, you like you mentioned, teach Postman in a classroom setting. We help out with those people and give them materials to teach others about Postman.
Yeah, that's an awesome plug, John.
Yeah,
I know if Hannah Neal's watching, she'll appreciate the call out. Yeah, Postman Supernovas is an awesome program. Folks that are started out just members of the community that. Sorry, this is an incredibly boring page for me to just be stuck on, so I'll hide it for now. While John and I just chat and I pull this up, but yeah, it just folks that started out as community members, answering questions on the forums, just kind of talked about Postman because they liked it, and then ended up just want to get more involved, and so now they're speaking at events. They're whatever. There are some like specific criteria, but yeah, just kind of Postman super fans and super users or supernovas. I didn't realize I was going there until I got there. But yeah, really, really cool program.
Shiva had a question regarding user groups. Is it only available for access to collections, or it can be used to provide access to environments and workspaces? I know it can be used to enforce role-based access for environments. Workspaces, I'm not 100% sure, but I will think they had rolled that back to cover that. Anything that has RBAC should be able to take advantage of the user groups.
That's a great question.
Yeah, really good question.
I love when there's questions that I don't know the answer to, but I'm on the call with somebody that does, and they can kind of answer for me.
Can you, I guess there's another question about the Supernova program. Is there a link for that or a URL?
Yeah, great question. So I'm going to share my screen again. So let's see. I don't remember exactly where it lives, so I'm just going to Google Postman Supernova, and I know there is, like I said, a few steps to go through, right? So the first step is just applying. Excuse me. And our teammate Hannah is kind of leading this charge of the Supernova program, and it looks like, yeah, folks that speak on stage at virtual events, and really just becoming an ambassador for Postman. And that can take quite a few forms, right? If you're super comfortable speaking at conferences, and that's like something you really love to do, and you have like a Postman topic or Postman talk that you want to give, that's certainly one way to qualify for Postman Supernova status. But yeah, let me share this link actually.
Yeah, and I know we often highlight the Postman Supernovas in our newsletter as well as on our blogs quite often. For our Galaxy Tour, which is our worldwide kind of user conference, we had a hackathon, and several people who won the hackathon went on to become Supernovas. Yeah.
Shout out to Carson if she's watching. She was awesome. But yeah, Ramona, I saw you shared the link as well. Thank you very much. I see here somebody's applying as we speak, which is awesome. Cool. I think, like I said, Hannah will be thrilled that this call has led to folks doing that.
And you get potentially your own Postman, water bottle. I know I can see the one behind you.
Oh yeah. Postman has some really cool swag. I've got some socks. I've got some sweatshirts, t-shirts. I think, John, if there's one piece of Postman swag that you wanted that we don't have yet, what's on your short list?
It's the only thing on my list is a trucker hat, because it's COVID. I haven't gone out and got a haircut in a while, and I seem to wear a hat every day, and I go through them quite quickly here in the Texas heat. But there's a new badge I would love to just put on a hat. What about you?
It feels like a cop out to now say like a trucker hat, but that is what I was thinking as well. Yeah, now I'm like struggling to think, like short of like Postman pants, I feel like otherwise I could be decked out head to toe in Postman with, other than pants. I do want to get this question. So Ankita, how can Indian people watch this? So this is recorded. If you're not able to make it live, or obviously you're here with us, but that are in different time zones that are not able to make it live, this session is recorded and will be put up on our YouTube page. We also do have an equivalent session called Postman Office Hours and Postman 101 in a time that's more conducive to folks in India. So that's run at, I I think it's 10 a.m. or 10 UTC. I actually don't know exactly. But let me see if it is. So 10 a.m. UTC. So there's another session. So there's 2 sessions every first Tuesday of the month. So there's opportunities for folks to be able to watch.
Question, or not even a question, a comment from Ramona. Valentin Despa is awesome. I completely agree. I presented with him at Galaxy, and that man is awesome. He knows so much. He is a Postman supernova. Yeah, he is unbelievable in his knowledge of Postman. Go watch his videos as well. I think some of them are on the YouTube channel. He's unbelievable. And also, I want to give a shout out to Sue Smith, who developed that collection about on the 101 that we went through earlier today. And then Brad, I know you said love Postman here at Gatsby. We love you guys too. And I know Tristan, who manages our website, uses it quite a bit. Thank you. Yeah, very, very cool. I actually didn't know Valentin didn't work at Postman for the first 3 months that I was here. I just saw so many awesome resources and valuable resources, and was like, this guy's amazing. And then I found out he didn't work here. I think, John, you got some props for clarifying. There should be more information, blog posts, and I know Arlemy puts out what's available in which release or what's new in the Reach release, and I believe user groups, it might have already been written about, but I think there's probably a blog post or some more information about that. Cool. Sandeep, and we are getting toward the end here, so we'll get through these last few questions. But yeah, Postman, does it support GraphQL? Short answer, yeah. Yeah, you can import a GraphQL specification and just work with it through making collections from the GraphQL specification. Yeah, I think the coolest thing there, John, is the autocomplete for queries. Right, so if you're working off a user-defined schema, you start creating a query, autofills the the fields that you're looking for. Pretty nice. Cool. I learned that from you today. Nice. Shiva thanks me for sharing the Supernova related links. You're very, very welcome. I hope that is something folks get excited about. It's something we're very excited about here. I think we've got, I don't even know, between 5 and 10 Supernovas now, but yeah, very excited to keep that program going. Yeah, could not agree more. I think, John, we're in agreement on this one. We should get him on here one time to do a Twitch stream. That is a good idea. I'm surprised. Yeah, that's a great idea. I don't know why it hasn't come up yet. But cool. I think that's all the questions that we've got. I think so, John. One thing we like to do, and I forgot to prep you for this, but we do a little kind of community shout out or just general shout out. So if there's anybody, I'm happy to go first if you can't think of anybody. Yeah, just people. I've got a great shout out. Go for it. All our Postmanauts and our employees in India and everyone who joined the stream from India, we really are thinking about you. Hoping you guys are get well soon. It's really a serious thing. I'm not joking around, but yeah, hang in there. Yeah, that's, so true. Yeah, thanks for chiming in. Hopefully this was a bright spot in the day. But yeah, I will shout out. I put you on the spot and you were ready to go, and now I'm sitting here not sure. I think I'm going to take a second to shout out some of our recent Supernovas. We talked about it, a decent bit today. So I know Priscilla B. I actually don't know her last name because she's just Priscilla B on everything, but she's a recent Supernova, super active on the community forum, just so incredibly helpful and valuable to the community. And Praveen's another person who is just, again, incredibly active on the forum, chimes in before Postmanauts can even answer sometimes, and it's just super helpful. And it's those kind of interactions and folks that have that enthusiasm that make it such an awesome community to be part of. So we do have one last question I'll answer here. So Ahmad, so do we have lecture series for beginners? Yeah, so the beginning of this is actually a fantastic kind of Postman 101 intro session. So if you missed it, the session will be recorded, put in our YouTube. And we also have plenty of resources available on the Learning Center or just in that workspace that I sent out earlier.
it has plenty of resources to get started. So, and then last one here, you'd be happy to join Valentine and do a presentation. Cool, Shiva. Yeah, feel free to send me a message on Twitter. I'm Sean Ryan Keegan. I think my name might be on here. I don't actually know, but yeah, get in touch and we can figure out if there's a way to make that work.
Yeah, that'd be one I'd tune in for, definitely.
Cool. All right, everyone. Thanks so much. I think on Thursday we've got another stream. John, do you know offhand what that one is?
I don't know, but if it's going to be maybe Joyce or Arlemy, it's usually probably one of them or together. And those guys usually bring some information, and it's well versed with a lot of comedy too.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So next Thursday is actually going to be Hannah and Carson, one of our Supernovas that we talked about. Extreme Makeover Collections Edition. So tune into that on Thursday. Hope to see you there. I'll be in the chat. So yeah, until next time. Thanks, John.
See you. Yeah, no problem. Thanks, everyone.